Sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling you need some kind of change. Standing tall on the wings of my dream, rise and fall on the wings of my dream. Rain and thunder, wind and haze, bound for better days. It's my life and my dream, nothing's gonna stop me now.
All right, welcome to TGIF. Tanner Grover invites friends. It is day number 15,532 of being me, and every now and again I get a little lost in my way, which is why I'm glad that today I have my OG mentor with me. This guy is a real Renaissance man. He has partied with Jefferson Airplane back in the day. He once sold hash to NBA Hall of Fame coach Phil Jackson. He migrated to Maine, where he became not just a husband, a father, and a grandfather, but he's a lobsterman. He is a carpenter. He is a boat builder. He is the the mustache messiah of transcendental meditation, Mr. Mike McConnell. What's up, Mike?
What an intro. I never thought you would remember that first part. Maybe I shouldn't have talked about that. But anyway.
No, we're going to get into all that and more, I hope.
Okay. Partying with Grace Slick.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to do, Mike, with every guest that comes on, is I like to establish our DOF, our date of friendship. So, how long do you think you and I have known each other?
I was thinking about that earlier, and I think we really met each other around fourth grade in the coaching world, and I think that's when I began to coach Ian, Bobby, Michael, et cetera, and everybody. And you became my assistant coach. And I think that's when we really got together.
Yeah. I mean, fourth grade. So if I'm doing the math, I think that's like, I want to say it's like 93 or something like that.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I don't do numbers well like that.
No, not like Ian, right? Ian's a numbers guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of like, first impressions of me or even me and Merritt, because I feel like Merritt and I were kind of like a package deal back in the day.
You were. I loved you being with us, and Merritt being with us. Merritt was the driver and the scorekeeper, and his influence on the guys was very real. He was the emotional support that they kind of needed. I was more of the technocrat basketball coach, and Merritt was the psychological, personal, talk to the guys, so on and so on. As you, I think I really helped you become a coach in the sense that I really didn't take a lot of input from you that first year. And I think that you were like, I think the way to do this for me is to be the guy in charge. And so you became a coach, which was awesome. And you did a great job, by the way, all those years.
Thanks, man. Well, I really owe, everything I did to yourself, and IJ Ken Maxim to a degree just from like those early years, but really like you were the guy that kind of I remember laid for lack of a better word, some like fundamental groundwork for me to build upon. I remember you giving me a copy of Dean Smith's book, Basketball, and me kind of reading it and just understanding, or trying to understand like the passing game or four corners or how to break a press, and it's weird, right? Because like here I am in this situation where I'm like 10, 11, 12 years old and my peers are all learning like just how to play, you know? And I'm kind of got this other like dynamic where it's like, all right, I'm not learning like how to shoot a left-handed layup, but I'm learning kind of like where people need to be in order to make the left-handed layup, if that makes any sense.
Right, right. It the dance of the game, and so much of it is about footwork and space, and that that's not often discussed at the early levels of teaching basketball, and that's one of the things that we really wanted to focus on was the fundamentals, the basic fundamentals, how to bring the ball up, how to make a short pass to begin with, so you aren't exposing yourself, and it goes on and on and on and on. But it was it was a honor to actually just get into it and learn. I was learning at the same time. I'm still learning about basketball and watching and trying to figure it out.
So one of my like, this is kind of unique. I don't think I've ever told you this before, Mike, but in your intro, I alluded to you uh, selling hash to Phil Jackson, and
Yeah.
which I want to talk about.
Oh
But
my God.
but the crazy thing, Mike, is as a little kid, right? So
Allegedly selling hash.
yeah, whatever.
That's what Tyler
Yeah,
would say.
yeah, that is what Tyler would say. Um, but like the crazy thing, Mike, is like I grew up in the era of like the Bulls being the dominant team. And like one of my first impressions of you, I was kind of like, holy shit, like our coach kind of looks like Phil Jackson, you know?
He has
Like,
a mustache.
well, yeah, right. You both do. You both have killer mustaches. And it was just like, and the other crazy thing is he is this like Zen Buddhist, I believe. And you're into meditation yourself. That's like a big part of your life. Um, and you're both like just these cerebral mustache figures that know basketball. And it was like so cool. I mean, like whatever, our travel team coach could have been like a dude that looked like, Frank Waden or someone, some fat dude.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was you, So I always thought that was really cool.
Nice. Well, meditation and what I don't know what to say about meditation, except I've been doing it since 1970, actually. Twice a day. I've probably missed one meditation, two meditations every year. I'm just so, it isn't that I'm dedicated, I'm addicted. Because it makes me feel good. When I finish meditation, I just feel better. I feel fresher, and so I just keep on keeping on. I just keep on meditating.
So when did that start? Like what prompted you to get into it? Was it just by
Well,
your own volition?
it was the time, I was very lucky to be born and arrived intellectually in the late 60s, and opened the awareness to we thought being a hippie would save the world. We actually thought that doing drugs would expand your mind and make you a better person. Uh, and the Beatles were going on. Dylan before that. It was just the perfect time to be open to all that. Um, my teacher of meditation was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He taught the Beatles. I spent 9 months with him, and it was just the perfect time to get involved. I was just walking down the street in Southern California. I saw a poster on a telephone pole with my buddy, and I said, let's go check this dude out. We thought Maharishi was going to be there, but it was actually just a TM lecture. But it just began, and the more I meditated, the more everything else fell off. Drugs, alcohol, cigarettes. They began to not feel good. So I just carried on with meditating because that made me feel good.
That's interesting, man. That's I know it's been a huge part of like your life and your identity, and you kind of I wasn't aware of it at first, when I was like a kid. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really aware that you were into it till I was like in high school. I think you started talking to me a little bit about it, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember after high school, you gave me like a packet on TM that you had printed off on the computer. It was like 100 pages of
Oh,
this
really?
stuff. Yeah,
Oh, I think it was this scientific evidence for it. I think that's what that was.
yeah, yeah. Well, and another part that like I've always kind of admired about you, and this is like, I think it falls in step with like the idea of whatever, being a hippie and like drugs are going to expand your mind, but you're doing it for like the betterment of the world, and you're going to leave the world a better place than you found it. Is you've always been an environmentalist and an activist, right? And so like you were pretty instrumental in getting Maine Yankee shut down. And I remember all that.
Yeah, yeah. I was definitely uh, part of that and helped bring that about. I was just one of those guys who took it seriously. We lived 2 miles from Maine Yankee Power Station, an atomic nuclear power station, and I realized if that thing goes up, my family's done. But there's a nuclear accident. Basically, it's a 50-mile radius of a dead zone. So basically, from Portland to Rockland would be dead. Nothing for thousands of years. No one could actually live here. That's just bad, right? So we got involved, found out where they were lying, fudging the truth on many issues. And the main point, and if anybody wants to go on AI and check out Nuclear Regulatory Commission Inspector Peter J. Atherton. Check out that guy. That guy found out early on the first inspection after Maine Yankee went online, that they had run the backup wiring in of the plant in the same trays in several spots. So if there was a fire, Maine Yankee could not be controlled by the control room because all the wiring would be burnt up. So we would have an uncontrolled nuclear power plant heading for a meltdown, and they couldn't stop it. So Peter found this. Peter J. Atherton, go on AI, and reported it.
when you say go on AI, you mean like go on Chat GPT or something and look it up?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And Peter found it, reported it to the office. The office wouldn't write it up. He went to his boss, said, "Hey, how come that they aren't writing this up? That this needs to be taken care of?" And they didn't do it. Peter went to the who's your boss? Well, my boss is the head of the NRC with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission in charge of inspecting and keeping it safe. He said, "Peter, we're just going to let this one go." Actually, she said, I think it was, uh, her name was Jackson. Anyway, so Peter said, "Well, who's your boss?" He said, "Well, the president of the United States." So Peter set up an appointment to go see the president. Went to the White House. The NRC called ahead, said that Peter was crazy. So when Peter showed up at the White House, six Secret Service guys grabbed him and took him to Bethesda Naval Mental Institution, shot him up with Thorazine, and disappeared him for a few weeks. Ended up dumping him in an alley. When he came back to the NRC to report for work, they said, "Peter, you don't work here anymore, man. You're out of here." Anyway, that all sounds crazy and like a conspiracy theory, and
Sure, yeah.
this couldn't happen in the USA. Just check it out. It happened.
Who was the president when this was going on?
Uh, so I think Clinton. I think Clinton.
Clinton.
Yeah.
Clinton. Okay. Yeah.
Um.
Interesting,
uh,
man.
Yeah.
It's so wild to me just that, like,
So just
this. Yeah.
go ahead. Just to finish. The plant ran for 20 years without a true redundancy backup system available if there was a fire. That is unbelievable. Anyway,
It's
so it finally came out. We found his paperwork, uh, his yellow legal notepad. We found the original one in the archives, and we brought it forth. And in the end, that's what shut it down because they couldn't afford to fix it. And the replacement power, which we found out, was cheaper. They were getting replacement power from Hydro Quebec, which was Hydro Quebec was charging the owners of CMP and others on the grid 2.7 cents a kilowatt hour, where Maine Yankee was charging 3.5 cents a kilowatt hour. So the replacement power was cheaper anyway. Why are they messing around with a worn out, illegal nuclear power plant?
it's wild to me that, as a kid, you don't know any better. You're not thinking about the ramifications of, nuclear power. And but we went on a field trip to Maine Yankee
Oh yeah,
in like fourth grade.
yeah.
So it was like this. It was like thought of in a way or presented to you as
Mm,
this like celebratory thing that we should be proud of. You know, well,
exactly.
it's such bullshit.
It was a lie, and they knew it was a lie. Um, at the time, it was shut down when I got involved. The president of Yankee, the CEO, was going around to all the Lions Club and Rotary Club and talking how they were going to fix it, and it was safe, and the replacement parts had been done. The fix, they were going to fix their steam generators. The radioactive water goes in the steam generators, ends up turning the turbines, which produces power. The steam generators were leaking primary water into the secondary water, which goes, it was leaking radiation. So they had to fix it. And they came up with this fix, and they were saying the fix was permanent. I called, and they were touting Belgium had done the same fix. I called Belgium, spoke to the nuclear engineer, And he said, "Yeah, our new steam generators are coming in 3 months, and we're really excited about it." So I said, "So what you did was just a temporary fix?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, it was just totally temporary." But anyway, Maine Yankee was going around telling all these clubs, all of our people, this was a permanent fix. They weren't ordering new steam generators. They were consciously fudging the truth. And and they did that. They wouldn't tell anybody where they're getting replacement power because it was cheaper. So they tried to hide that. They hid the fact that the plant was not legally operating for 20 years.
Yeah, it's wild.
And they got power upgrades to increase the pressure on the whole thing 3 times during that 20 years. Crazy, crazy stuff.
It's insane. I wanna shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
I wanna so like I know you've told me this before, but it's been a long time. But the whole Jefferson Airplane bracelet connection,
Yeah,
I'd be remiss if we didn't get this on record. So,
on
hey,
tape.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. You got to give me
okay,
the backstory, Mike. What's going?
okay.
Tell, yeah, give me a history lesson.
My high school girlfriend, actually my junior high school girlfriend, um, Diane Gardner, lovely girl, turned me on to Bob Dylan in 1963. Nobody was into Bob Dylan in 1963, not in Southern California. Everybody was doing the Beach Boys. And so uh, she was always ahead of her time and was always into the music scene. In high school, she went and waitressed in a folk club in Huntington Beach. Met a lot of folk singers. Went to college, and she would go to Hollywood, trying to figure out how she could get in the industry. So she did. She went to work for Alan Klein, who became the infamous uh, PR guy for the Beatles just before they broke up. Um, and she worked for him. Another guy, she was doing the Rolling Stones West Coast PR, uh, the Who, etc., etc. Anyways, she became the exclusive PR gal for the Jefferson Airplane. When I came back from the service, I looked her up. We were, uh, on and off boyfriend girlfriend for years, and so she took me to a recording session with the airplanes because she was their exclusive PR agent. So it was just I was the only outsider there, and they were hanging out, and working on the Volunteers album. They were working on the song Volunteers, and I had loved the airplanes ever since they began. White Rabbit, just over the top. Um, so uh, during this session, they were waiting for this dude named Spencer Drivers, the drummer, because he had that briefcase with all the good stuff in it, and he so he finally shows up, and everybody's getting high, and uh, Grace comes on over and puts her little spoon on me. So life began to party uh, at the RCA studios in Hollywood. And afterwards, went to a coffee shop. The band and just hung out. So that was the recording session, basically.
That's cool, man. I mean, what? That's just a legendary story. Um,
It was
that's a,
fun for sure. It was fun, and they were so nice to me. They weren't stuck up. It was just one on one. They were very um, good people like that.
yeah, yeah. I feel like I hear that kind of. Oh, I'm not all the time, but I'm really glad when I do hear, when you meet people of like fame or significance or whatever that they are like. just kind and cool and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I can relate it to is like maybe meeting some athletes. And when I was a kid, I was pretty fortunate to meet like some NBA players and whatnot. And like, I can confirm that like Shaquille O'Neal was a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's very cool. Meeting the people. It's surprising how when you get down to it, people are just people. We all want the same thing. Um, I think a fellow lobsterman and local legend amongst the lobstermen is Fred Farnham. And Fred Farnham once told me, Mike, we're all just trying to make it. And
that's
that's it.
that's the
We're all
truth,
just
man. That is the truth.
we're all just trying to make it.
So tell me a little bit about you know, moving to Maine. How'd you find Maine? Becoming a lobsterman, and like, if you would like humor me a little bit, like, I'm not sure I ever have heard the story of how you met Karen and how you got together.
Oh yeah. Well, those are two different stories, but Karen's probably more interesting. Um, I was working as a carpenter with this local Southport builder, Roscoe Rand, who was fifth generation. I think Roscoe Rand. I know it's fifth generation Rand from Southport. At one time, the Rands were one of three owners of Southport. One of three of all of Southport. Anyway,
Pretty important people.
yes. So the Rands have been there forever. Um, they weren't rich. They were just Mainers getting by, and so when they couldn't afford, when the taxes went up, that they had to sell land to pay the taxes, and that's how things began to shrink. But uh, Roscoe, I was working for Roscoe, and the guy I'm working with, Tony, I forget his last name, had a beautiful wife, Martha, and I was single, and I'm thinking, birds of a feather flock together. So I said, Tony, does your wife have any girlfriends or anything going on there? He goes, yeah, there's this one girl. Actually, she's kind of staying at the house for a little bit. Her and her son, Adam, he was 2.5, 3, and so they had a little cookout and little meet and greet, get together, barbecue, in the backyard. And so I met her there, and I liked her. I liked Adam, and asked her for a second date, and we went out dancing on the third date, and we both liked to dance, so that was it. We're
That's
on our
awesome,
way.
man. I love that. That's so cool. And obviously, like, your son, and I are classmates, and I, knew Adam, was Ian's like half brother, and older than me, and a total like basketball stud himself. Um, and I do want to talk about basketball, and kind of just obviously like winning the gold ball in 2001. It's like I feel like there's so much I want to talk about with you, and
Mm-hmm.
not enough time to do it in a
Right.
way. But there's kind of like two things I want to touch upon, I guess. And the first is Adam, because I was talking to Merritt, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, Merritt's my father. What's one of your first memories of Mike? And he said, well, I remember being at the Y, and this guy came up to me and was like, I want you to play Adam like 101, like 3 times a week, heading into the winter sports season. And it's like, I knew him from the store, and he was a customer, and I knew he was like, the father of your classmate Ian. But I didn't know him that well, but I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But what do you remember about setting that up for Adam?
Not much, except I mean, I haven't thought about that for 1,000 years. It seems like, but that is true. I did that, and they played, and I think Merritt loved it as much as Adam loved it. Merritt's always up for a game, no doubt about it, and he's been shooting threes. How old is Merritt now?
66.
Well, last year I think he had shoulder injury, but up until that date, he was probably hitting 100 threes a day. For the last 50 years. I don't know. The guy's an animal when it comes to basketball, and no question. But yeah, he did that, and Adam definitely got better, and then we we got John Scott to come and spend a couple of days with Adam, great basketball coach, to teach him footwork, which I learned and then you learned. But yep, Adam was a scorer. He was not a great practice player, but he was a great game player. You put him in a game, and all of a sudden he just comes on, and he could, if he wasn't making his three, he was driving to the basket. Um, After John Scott worked with him, he would go to the foul line and hit that foul line jumper. Um, he could do it all. He could do it all. He's a 1,000 point scorer. Loved the game. Just loved it. If he'd been 60, 6'10", like Cooper, he'd have been Cooper.
That's so true, man. Adam was a terror. I remember just, being a kid and watching him just rip it up, and like have these like epic battles. Like that was an era where I felt like every team had this stud, and there were these like epic one-on-one battles, which
That is true.
think
That
I don't
that
think
is true.
like Ian and Michael and Bobby, we had other good teams that we played, but I think we
Yeah,
were so selfless, and it was all about the matchup with our group. It was like, does Ian have it? Does Bobby have it? Does Michael have it? And then
it
we
was
just
always that
worked.
way.
Yeah, we just worked the matchup. But in Adam's era, it was like, I just remember Adam and Jeff Bodge from
Yeah, Jeff
Richmond
Bodge,
going at it.
Joey Roach from Erskine. Um, he never went against that great Madomic player. But anyway, it was a lot of one-on-one battles, that dominant players on one team that just could score. It was fun to watch. Oh my goodness, it's so much fun watching those battles. And the crowds in the gyms were back in the day packed. It was like Iowa basketball or whatever. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. You know, so much fun.
So because you started coaching us in like fourth, fifth grade, somewhere around there,
Hmm.
and when did it kind of click for you, where you had an awareness of like, you know, we could be really good, or we had a shot to maybe win the whole thing? Like, when did that kind of click?
Well, I knew it by sixth grade because after being in the travel team tournaments, where you played everybody in the state, we were playing Portland, we were playing Westbrook, we were playing Waterville, we were playing Madomic. There was a down east team that came on down, and in our grade level, which is what you're going to find at the upper levels, you'll be playing against your grade level people. We were one of the best, and I knew that we could compete. I mean, we competed with Westbrook, and we never beat the Portland team, but we scared them a couple times, and they had what, three D1 players and one D2 player and one D3 player, and they were in eighth grade. They were 6'4", 4, 6'3", 6'3", 6'2", 6'1", and then a regular 6-footer. But I mean, in 8th grade, and skill level unbelievable, and we gave him a run. We were within 4-5 points, battling. So I knew that we could, at our level, we were toasting people, really.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it definitely clicked in 6th grade, where we kind of figured out like, oh shit, like we're pretty good, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So like
and
just that a light bulb moment kind of went off, I guess.
yeah. Well, playing Lincoln Middle in the Brunswick tournament in 6th grade was impressive. What I forgot what I was going to say now, but I had this brilliant thing.
That's all right, man. It'll come back. I remember, so I had a few memories, two really early memories, and then one kind of later one. So I remember our first travel team game ever was up in Monmouth,
Yes,
and it was kind of a hodgepodge game, and I think we were just really you were just feeling it out and just playing everybody, and whatever. We weren't really taking it like it was the end all be all of travel team stuff. But I remember it was close, and Ian made a half court shot to win our very first game, and I just thought that there's such a now knowing years later the entire story, like what a way to start it off. Like we could have
exactly,
lost,
exactly.
but
I was actually kind of sandbagging the other team because I knew that they were going to hold a tournament at the end of the season, so I didn't want to be too good. So I was playing, just kind of playing everybody and just going along. And then at the end, it was basically tied. They got the ball with a few seconds left. Now, to set the scene, the men's league was waiting to come on the court. So the Monmouth men's league, there was maybe 20 grown men standing around one end of the basketball court because it wasn't a very big court. And so a few seconds left, they're bringing up the ball. Ian steals the ball from the guy, goes to the red line, and heaves that baby up there, and it goes. And we didn't realize that the men were there, but all of a sudden there's this unbelievable roar, and you go, ah, like you're in a stadium, and it's like, oh Christ, you just hit a buzzer beater. It was awesome, but that did set the tone, and just really made it fun.
that was wild. So then the second old memory, all right, is the second game we ever played, which was the first one was Monmouth, and then the second trip, and this was a big eye opener for me personally. But I remember getting in the van, and you were in the van with us, and we were going to Richmond, okay? And Merritt gets in the van, and Merritt turns to you, and he didn't know where we were going. And so he said, so Mike, where's the game today? And you were like, it's in Richmond. He's just like, I'm not allowed in Richmond.
Yeah, I remember that quite well. And I was like, oh no, here we go. And then he tells me this story, the famous Merritt story of Merritt getting in a scuffle at a basketball game in Richmond, Booth Bay versus Richmond. Back in the day, there were scuffles, and and especially with Wiscasset. But so, do you want me to tell this?
Sure, yeah, give your perspective. I want your version.
Well, from my perspective, was like, oh my God. And then Merritt, who probably loves to tell this story as much as anybody, gets in the scuffle in the stands at Richmond, and they have to break it up, and they had your I guess Merritt was driving, so Merritt gets in the car. I don't know if he had a friend with him or not. Probably Bryant, and
It was fun.
it was,
Yeah.
and so they're leaving Richmond, but they see the guy that he got in a scuffle with. So Merritt decides to use the car as a weapon, and you know how horrifying that is. Well, thank God he missed. And anyway, so the police grab Merritt. I they temporarily throw him in. I don't know if they put him in jail but they take custody of him.
I think the day
And
after, something like that.
and your dad has to come and get him. I'm Grandpa,
Yeah.
Merritt's dad, and Bob. And then so Bob comes and gets him, and I'm sure some lawyers and politicking and a lot of begging, they let Merritt off the hook, but he is, I think by court order, not allowed back in Richmond
Yeah,
city
it's a
limits.
lifetime ban. It's a lifetime ban from Richmond. So here we are on, our second game of our, travel team journey. And
Mhm.
we're going to a gym where Merritt's not allowed at, but he
We,
went, we got him in
we
there.
played. We played. We won, I
Yep,
think.
we
We
won.
won.
Oh yeah, we won. It was all good. It's funny. So,
Oh, what I wanted
uh,
to talk about that
yeah,
I remember when I went, but I just want to say that our team was so just win the game oriented. You know, do what we do, know how to finish the game, and who's ever got the advantage, they didn't. Our Bobby didn't care, Mike didn't care, Ian didn't care, Thomas Heller didn't care, Evan didn't care. Um, Nobody cared. You know, Nick Wilson didn't care. Just whoever was hot or they weren't guarding well or whatever, they got the ball, they scored, we got back on defense. It was an awesome team. Very unusual, very selfless, but just about winning. I mean, they really wanted to win that game, and if this is the way that we're going to win it, then this is what we're going to do.
I do have an early memory, and I don't know, it might have even been the very first game, the Monmouth game, because you said Merritt like kept stats, right? He
Yeah,
would keep the
yeah,
book.
really good
So
ones too. By the
yeah,
way, he
and
is
so
he's amazing that way.
he really is. He is an unbelievable multitasker. But I remember him keeping these stats, and I think it was Bobby and Matty Brown went up to him after the game, and I think it was Bobby. I think Bobby was like, "Hey Merritt, how many points do I have?" And Merritt just said, "It doesn't matter. You won the game," and wouldn't tell him. You know. But what that did in a way is it set the stage of like, all right, we're not going to talk about this ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we ever did. I don't think anyone ever knew how much we scored. No one cared. And it was just like, oh yeah, we won. Who gives a shit? Like that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive actually. Pretty great.
Yeah. Um. So all right. So we 2001, we win the gold ball, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have this memory of we figure out that Piscataquis, who we play in the state championship, is having a scrimmage against Falmouth. And you, me, and Merritt go and we watch this game.
Yeah.
And, we had already been through, Pancras the year before. I talked about this a little bit with Tyler. We were 21-0 going into that game and we lose. And now Piscataquis the following year, they're the 21-0 team and we're 15-3. We might not be quite as deep as we were the year before. Still really good, you know, but just a different kind of feel. But I remember going and watching that game with you and Merritt, and for me, I came away being like, "Oh shit!" Like we were gonna get ass kicked.
Oh, really?
That's how I felt. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And I don't think, I don't know. So I was just wondering if you had any memory of that and kind of what you thought.
I remember going there. I remember doing it. I remember sitting next to one of the Falmouth players' parents who I knew. So I remember it, but I had seen them previously. I went to where was that? Um, the Class D champions always.
Valley.
I went to Valley and saw Valley play Piscataquis in a Christmas game. So it was a non-league scrimmage, but a real game. And I sat right behind Jamie Russell, the coach of Piscataquis, and I was just scouting and listening. So I had seen them play, and I knew what they were doing, and I was just reinforcing at Falmouth what I had seen at Valley, and we had them figure it out, and we knew that the East was going to do what they did against us, because all the East coaches get together and they talk and they kind of figure out a game plan for all their champions, Eastern champions, going into the Class C game, Class B game, whatever. And so, because they were so successful against us with Penquist, the East team, that I figured they were going to do something similar, which they did, and plus added what Jamie was teaching the team the whole time, the Piscataquis coach. So we had their signals and their calls, and we kind of figured out what they were going to do, and we knew that they would double team our best players, and but that would leave somebody open, which Ian Ian is such a great point guard at finding the open guy and also faking passes and making people commit. And anyway, it all just really worked out.
Do you have any kind of like memories of the day of the game, maybe like the actual, the day of? And I'm not talking in the gym in Bangor. I'm talking like in the morning at the McConnell breakfast table before we head to Bangor, with Ian and kind of what he was thinking, heading into that. Anything kind of like,
Well,
family oriented.
well, I think what's better is besides the breakfast table, we were at the stadium waiting for the game where the Callis girls played before we played for their championship game, and then it was our turn. So Ian was, for some time, he was probably sitting with the team, but near the end of that game, he came and sat with us, and Karen and I, and Anna, and so just before he goes to the locker room to get changed up, he says, "Well, Mom, I'll see you in a little while with the goal ball." And we just looked at him and laughed, like, "Oh yeah, sure, you're gonna have the goal ball." And but when Ian came out in the announcements, when they introduced the team and the team runs out on the court and they call the player's name, I never saw Ian run out so happy with a smile on his face. He he was He was ready. He was
Yeah.
he was happy and enjoying it, and I'd never seen him like that before. Coming out in a game, it's so interesting.
The only time might be at his bachelor party. Um,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
that's 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 for another day.
yeah. What happens in Montreal stays in Montreal. Uh, but no, man, that's classic. Um, we've been going at it for about 50 minutes, but I want to touch
Mhm.
on one last thing
Sure.
because you're a grandfather, okay? And so I just
Mm.
want you, I don't know, man, talk about your grandkids a little bit. Like you got three now, is that correct?
Three, right?
Yeah,
We have Abraham, the oldest. He's 12. Louise, who's 8. Those are Ian's children, and Anna has a 2.5-year-old. Not quite 2.5, but just about. Um, it's the best, you know. I didn't think it was going to be a very big deal, before I became a grandfather. But then I thought, once I became a grandfather, I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing, you know. And you get to see really the grandmas. Every grandma I know, they're over the top. They just love these children. Unbelievable. It is like even more than their own children. I'm not saying that they love their children, the grandchildren more than the children, but they're really outward. They can just let it go now. Before as a mother, you kind of have to contain yourself a little bit. You can't let all this love out, but they let it out with the grandkids. It's pretty awesome.
that's
You've
cool, man.
probably seen that with Trish.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My sister and I we talk about that with her kids, and
Mhm.
we see Trish do things for them, and Allie and Alopecia are like, she never did that shit for us, you know? Uh,
That's it.
yeah,
That is that they just really let it go, and they're buying them stuff all the time, and it's like crazy.
it's wild. It is wild. um, I mean, so you've been have you taken Abe on the boat like lobstering?
Yes, and early on he really loved it, and Ray, who's 2.5,
Yeah,
cannot get enough. When like and Louise loves it too. By the way, um,
yeah.
uh, it's family is the thing. Really, when it comes down to it, it's all about the uh, about the love, and the nearest to us all is family. Spouse, children, and friends. Uh, that's I. I just want to say that, and in sports, it's about the love too. And I didn't realize that until we lost to Penquist in the state championship. I think the bigger the game, the closer you are to the truth about the whole thing. And the whole thing is really about the love of the game, the love of your friends, the love of your family puts into helping you, the love in helping other players who can't afford to go on trips or whatever, but everybody's helping everybody out. It's that it's really even the losing, the sympathy and the care for that situation, and the winning is euphoric. It's unbelievable bliss, but at the highest levels. But ultimately, I think the whole thing is really about the love. And I just wanted to say that, And the other thing about basketball is it teaches you to get better, and you know, it's about getting better, and it's about the love, the whole deal.
I couldn't agree more, Mike. You said you continue to mentor me even today. So, and I love you for that. So thank you for saying that. Um, Not to understate what you just put out there, but just a couple topical things, just because I'm curious and
Sure.
I want to get
Sure.
this on record too.
Sure.
Um, Movies, Mike, movies. So
Movies.
you've been going to my cinema clubhouse thing. I do,
Yes.
which is great. You and Karen are like regulars. You came to Stand By Me, which was really cool. You know,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah. Do you have a favorite movie?
I oddly, I think I do, and I think it's Amistad. I don't know if
Okay,
you've ever seen it.
I know
It's
of
with
it, but I've never seen it. Yeah.
it's with uh McConaughey. How, McConaughey. How do you
Yeah,
say that?
yeah,
Matthew.
yep.
And I love that movie. Um, it's about slavery and a slave and fighting for justice and freedom. It's awesome. Um, that's my favorite movie. No,
Cool.
you haven't talked about favorite concert
Yeah, I know. I wanna ask that next.
because
So favorite concert.
okay, my the is I read after seeing this guy that I'm going to talk about, Howling Wolf. He's a blues man. He he probably passed away 30 years ago. His name was Chester Brown. Real name. He was a blues player, blues frontman, guitar player. Um, Bob Dylan saw him and said he's the greatest live act he ever saw. He, um, Howling Wolf was about 6'3", 6'4", and his presence just filled the room. We went to back in the day in this. I guess it was 1970. Um, I went with a friend and his girlfriend in Chicago to the west side of Chicago, which once we thought about it afterwards, we probably should not have been there. We went to this funky, very funky bar. It looked like a nasty bar. Like you ever walked into a nasty bar, you go, wow, this is a pretty nasty bar. And
Yes.
and there was no white people in there. But in the back was like a union hall, like the Barter's Island Hall, just plain Jane white, uh, simple tables, simple chairs, uh, plain stage, just some instruments up there. Anyway, so we're going there and sit down. We're one of the first people there. Hubert Sumlin, the lead guitar player for Howling Wolf, saw us and just came running over. Basically, just came running over, saying, "Hey, thanks for coming out and doing all." He was just trying to tell everybody else, "They're cool. They're cool. We know them. They're part of the band. We're like totally numb, hippies, and we just wanted to see the wolf with his people, and the place was filled up, completely full, solid black people. We were the only white people there, and he played, and his presence is so huge, and his voice so loud, so powerful. He's such a big, strong man, and if the band it made any mistake, he'd turn and look like this, and you could see them go, "Shit, we need to get together, man." And he put it was a mixture of power, fear, and rock and blues. It was unbelievable. It was, but
That's cool, man.
yeah, he check out the Wolf,
The Wolf. It's funny.
Howling
I mean,
Wolf.
I've been. I mean, I consider myself pretty fortunate to have been to a lot of live shows, and I think that like at times I get like a little bit numb to stuff where it's
Yeah,
like I see things and I enjoy them and they're good, but they're not really revelatory all the time, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And
Mm-hmm.
this sounds like one of those
Oh yeah.
experiences for sure.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, I love Bonnie Raitt. I love um, Americana music, Brianna Gibbons. Just all kinds of good music. And it
Yeah.
could be bluegrass. It could be Irish. It could be folk. It can be anything. It can be soul, Motown. I love it all.
Actually, one of your memories, one of my memories of you, is we went to see Hubie Brown speak at
Oh yeah, yeah.
CMCC. Yeah,
He
and
was
I remember
great.
you drove the van. We're going to Auburn, and I didn't really know your musical taste at all,
Hmm.
but "Fast Car" comes on the radio by Tracy Chapman,
Yeah, yeah.
and you fucking cranked it, and you were like, "This is my favorite song, man," and I'm like, "Fast Car? Alright, man." We just kinda jammed out to Fast Car.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Fast Car is great. I like
Yeah.
Fast Car. Who just did it? Some guy just did it. Some country guy with all the
Yeah.
tattoos and uh,
Is it
country rap sort of
Jelly
Jelly Roll.
Roll?
Yeah,
Jelly Roll,
Jelly
yeah.
Roll. Yeah, he just
Yeah,
did it.
that's
It's
right.
awesome.
Alright, so Mike, I got one last question I wanna ask you. Um, so I asked this of everybody, and, the story goes, in 2008, my grandmother, passed away of
Mm,
lung cancer, right? And so when she was on her deathbed to me, she said, the one thing in life I regret is never allowing myself to have an ice cream sundae every time that I wanted one."
hmm.
Which, to me, I'm just thinking, like, you're sick, you're dying of cancer, and all you want is an ice cream sundae, you know?
Yeah, right.
Well, but it's a pretty profound statement. And so, my question, you can answer it however you like, but, I think of an ice cream sundae almost in a metaphorical sense. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Hmm.
So, either what is your ice cream sundae, or what fills you up, or what's left on your bucket list of things you want to do in life. How you can answer it however you like.
Hmm. Um, I have no thing that I need to do. No big bucket. Something that I've not done out there. Um, what I really love is the experience of sailing our little boat when it's blowing 7 to 8 degrees and it's a nice wind and you don't have to worry about anything, and the feeling on the water of being with Karen is just pure, and you feel the power of the sail and the wind, and it's just like you're almost just it's so relaxing and you're feeling so in tune with the that moment. It just feels great. It's just a really really nice feeling. So I could do that, and Karen and I eat ice cream almost every night.
That's great, man. What's your go-to flavor?
uh Vanilla with chocolate sauce.
Love it. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Mike, I love that, man. I love that answer. And you said some really profound things throughout this whole conversation. We could probably do a part two.
We can do part two
Anytime.
anytime you want.
Cool, man. Cool.
I could
Well,
be
anyways,
drained though.
yeah.
I might not have anything left.
Whatever you got, man, I'm sure it's more than enough.
Okay.
But I just want to thank everyone who's taking the time to hang out with us. I hope you found it, informative, insightful, entertaining. Maybe it was just background noise for you. Consume it however you like. But most of all, I just want to thank you, Mike. Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend also, Tanner. You're the best.
Yeah.